So, starting with number 1, can I have a volunteer read for us?
Me.
Go ahead.
In the diagram below, congruent figures 1, 2, and 3 are drawn. Which sequence of transformations map figure 1 onto figure 2, and then figure 2 onto figure 3?
All right. Read through it. I'm going to do kind of the same thing for each one. I'm going to give you guys 1 minute to think of an answer, just based on how quickly you can do it in your head, and then we'll go through it together. So 1 minute to give me an answer starts now. Type your answer in the chat. Fifteen seconds remaining. Just make a choice. If you got to guess, you got to guess. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Send me an answer. 3, 2, 1.
Fuga.
I only got 3 answers, y'all. I need to get one from everybody, even if you're totally guessing.
I got you.
I want
Jalen.
full participation.
Wait.
Jalen is PewDiePie now.
Okay.
I'm not talking about.
All right. Perfect. I got everybody. All right. The answer choice, the correct answer is D.
I totally guessed.
Answer
So I
choice
got it
D.
wrong. You,
Remember-
bro, what is that?
Remember that it has to go from number 1 to number 2, and then from number 2 to number 3. So if you think about it, what's the only way to get from number 1 to number 2? What can you eliminate based on this?
Reflection and rotation.
You can eliminate reflection and you can eliminate rotation, because to go from A to B, did it change direction at all? It did not change direction. It did not change in the order, anything at all. The only thing it did, it was slide on over. So that's why I can eliminate those choices. And then once I'm there, to get from 2 to 3, the question is it a reflection or is it a rotation? And since it basically, it's almost like it falls over, you can literally see that it kind of like falls over. That's why we call this is, what kind of rotation is this actually?
270 counterclockwise or negative 90 or 90 clockwise.
Perfect. So that's
Yes.
negative 90, which is the same thing as positive 270. Nice job. Okay. All of you guys who are fooling around in the chat and changing your images to be funny, it's all hilarious until you fail your tests. So let's go. We're not in a 6th grade class right now. This is a 10th grade class, and I want you guys to be acting like 10th graders. Number 2. Who would like to read number 2?
Me.
Go ahead. You can be like our official class reader.
Yay. Quadraticals A, B, C, D, and E, F, G, H are shown on the coordinate plane. Quadratical E, F, G, H is the image of A, B, C, D after a transformation or sequence of transformations, which could be the transformation or the sequence of transformations. That's a lot of transformation.
Yeah, there's a lot of options for this one. So for this one, I'm going to give you guys 2 whole minutes, and you can have more than one answer choice. Again, I'm looking for everybody's answer. So if you are not participating today, I'm going to be writing that down, and that's not going to be good for you. You're going to get probably a phone call home this weekend. So I need an answer from everybody. There's only 7 of you, so I know exactly who's doing it and who's not. So 2 minutes. You can send me more than one answer. Go ahead.
Miss, so ABCD is the pre-image, right? And then EFGH is basically ABCD prime.
Yes.
Okay.
Miss, what are the max amount of answers you can choose?
I'm not going to tell you because on a test, they don't tell you either.
Okay.
Okay, I think that might have not been enough time. I'm going to add 30 seconds. I have 5 answers in the chat. I'm just missing 2.
Miss, can I go get a bottle of water?
You might miss the explanation, but just go quick.
Okay, I'll run.
Daniel, where's your answer?
Perla doesn't run.
All right. So the correct answers were B and D. So if you got B and D, you got it right. I think a couple of people sent me that.
I got B and D, but I also said I think C. I don't know.
Miss,
Yeah.
Miss, I put
Almost.
C by accident. Miss, I swear. I put
Yeah?
C by accident. I thought it was
Okay.
180. Miss, I promise. I
Okay.
promise with all of my heart. Oh my God.
Uh-huh.
No, I promise.
The lie she tells.
So, okay. So I think almost everybody put B. So does anyone need me to explain why B is correct?
No, not really. I already can tell.
Yeah, almost everyone. If you're not sure, you can always try to look at where. So C ended up where? What does C correspond to?
G.
G.
G, right?
G.
And it's on the opposite quadrant, right? We went from quadrant 1 to quadrant 3. So that's one way to visualize it. You can also check the rule. If you had more time, you could have checked the rule just to make sure. All right. The reason C is incorrect, because I know a couple people sent me C, is because, let's look at what happens. Translation 12 units down. 12 units down would put me, let me see, 12, that's here. So D would be here. C would be here. A would be 4 plus 8, right? So here. And B would be here. So that's already, you can kind of tell just from that, that's not going to line up correctly. So C is incorrect. D, a reflection across the y-axis followed by a reflection across the x-axis. So this is actually something that's super interesting. A 180-degree rotation is the same thing as a reflection over the y-axis, followed by a reflection over the x-axis.
Would it still be a 180 if it was first over the X and then over the Y?
Yeah, in any order. So those two things are always going to be the same. So that's actually like a cool rule that you can think about. I mean, I think it's cool. But if you're taking your test and that situation comes up, you can remember, oh, that's the same thing. So yeah, if you reflect over the y-axis first, it's going to end up in quadrant 1. Something like, I'm not going to make it perfect, just to try and show. It'll be something like this. So it'll be there first, and then once you reflect it over the other way, over the x-axis, it'll end up lining up with EFGH. So 180-degree rotation is the same thing as two reflections. Once over the y-axis, once over the x-axis. Any questions on this one? Anybody want me to show why another answer choice was incorrect?
Fine.
Very, very quickly, I'm just going to show this one. This is answer choice E, was a reflection across y equals x. Tilt your heads and check. If you folded it in half along that red line, would they match up?
No,
No. So
like slightly off.
it would be slightly off. So that's how we know that one's incorrect as well. All right. Next one. So we're using the same two images. Tyrone, you want to read?
Quadratical ABCD will be reflected across the x-axis and then rotated 90 degrees clockwise about the origin to create quadratical A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. What will be the y coordinate of B?
Perfect. So we're no longer looking at this quadrilateral. We're just starting off with ABCD. And we want to know what's going to happen when you rotate it 90 degrees clockwise and then, reflect it across the x-axis and then rotate it. So this question is really good because if you have a problem on a test that you have a whole quadrilateral and you're doing two things to that whole thing, to that whole figure, sometimes it's easier to just pick one point and figure out what happens to that one point, and that's going to help you figure out all the rest of the points. So we're going to do this together. I want you guys to write this down. You can grab your notebooks again because I know y'all put it behind you or under you or whatever. So take a second, just get your notebook out. And you can just write test prep question 3 on the next blank spot. Doesn't matter where. I just want you guys to get in the habit of writing this down. So this is kind of like what we were doing yesterday. We're doing two transformations. And we're going to use our rules to get a final answer. So transformation number 1 is a reflection across the x-axis. So who can give me the general rule for a reflection across the x-axis?
X comma negative Y.
Good. So now I take my B and my coordinate point for B is -3, 7. So where is B prime going to end up?
-3 comma -7.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So now, here's B prime with the first transformation. But then I have to do a second transformation, which is a 90 degrees clockwise rotation about the origin. And you have to read carefully because what is a 90 degrees clockwise rotation equivalent to?
270 counterclockwise.
Exactly. Don't forget to read and make sure you're reading the correct direction. Since this says clockwise, we have to think about what is that equivalent to and then come up with our rule. And what is that rule for a 270 degree counterclockwise?
Y comma negative x.
Good. So now I go ahead and I make my second transformation. And someone other than Perla, what do I get for my B double prime under this transformation?
-7, 3.
-7, comma, +3. Oops, I just wrote that wrong. -7, comma, +3. Okie dokes. So here we go. -7, comma, +3 is my final resting place for this B. Questions on this type of problem? Questions on series of transformations. So how to do this type of thing where you have to go from 1 to 2 to the last one.
Yes and no.
Okay, what's the yes?
I forgot already. Hold up.
Let's do another one. Let's see if it makes more sense with a couple more questions. Okay. Here we go. Tyrone, let's read.
Bob claims that he can map rectangle 1 to rectangle 2. Select all of the transformations or series of transformations that can support his claim.
So very similar problem. Which of these will map rectangle 1 to rectangle 2? I'm going to give you 3 minutes since there's a lot of options. 3 minutes start now. Send me your answers when you have it.
We send it in the chat to you.
Yeah.
Miss, we're supposed to send you our answers, right?
40 seconds remaining. Okay. All right, so this one was a little tricky, but this was actually from a previous topic test. And you know how they love to reuse questions, so you might see something like this again. So that's why I wanted to do this one, because there's a lot of things that like are easy to understand, and then a couple of things that might be a little more difficult to understand. So the correct answers were C, D, and E. And that's it. So I think almost everybody, yeah, I think everybody said C at least. So everybody had C correct, because C is kind of like, you can visualize it, right? So if I'm reflecting over the line x equals 1, reminder from the first problem we did, where is the line x equals 1?
X equals 1 is, oh, I was thinking x equals -1. Anyways, it's right there in the middle of the origin and point. I mean, 2. You know, you get it, miss. I don't know. I'm
I
bad
got
at
you.
explaining.
So this one was a little confusing because not only the scale is going by 2s, so now you got to think of a line that's in the middle. Oh, who's calling? Hold on. Okay. All right, so the line is kind of down the middle, and that was so not straight. Hold on. There we go. Somewhere around there. So we wanted to reflect over that line, which means that my image would be 1.5 boxes to the right, because it was 1.5 boxes to the left. So my image will be 1.5 boxes to the right, which would end up over here. And then once it's there, followed by a translation of 2 units down, since it's going by 2s, that would line up perfectly with rectangle 2. So that's why C is correct. But that was the tricky part, is to figure out where is x equals 1. So C was correct. D was the other really easy one, as long as you noticed that the boxes were going by 2s. So this started out at -2 and finished off at 10. So you know that's 12 units to the right, or 12 units, yeah, to the right. And then 2 units down would get you where you needed to go. So D was also correct. And then E was probably the trickiest one to see, because we haven't really gone over it. So let's quickly go over this. This says a rotation of 180 about the point 1, 4. So the point 1, 4 is right there. And this is different than a rotation around the origin, because there's no rule for a rotation around point 1, 4. There's only rules for rotations around the origin. So for this one, what you kind of had to do was honestly just like visualize it as much as you can, where if I'm going 180 degrees around that point, I would end up at rectangle 2. That one, this was honestly a really hard one to do, just because of that one question. E was just like a little bit unfair, honestly, but I want to make sure you guys understand this one. So does anyone have any questions about E?
No.
No.
Okay. If you're ever not sure, if you get a question like this, something you can do is pick one point on one rectangle and another point, the same point on the other rectangle. So those 2 points would line up to each other when you do the rotation, and just check that they make a straight line through the center of rotation. Because since it's 180 degrees, it has to make a straight line. If it was 90 degrees, what would it have to make?
A straight line?
If it was 90 degrees,
No, like, that.
a
I
90
don't know how to
degree,
explain
a
it.
90-degree angle.
It's
180 degrees is a straight line. So that's why when you connect those points, it would have to make a straight line. Okay, so that one was tough. I admit that one was tough, but if you got it right, I think one person got it right, so nice job. All right, let's do this one. This will be our last one because I do want you guys to have your time to take your quizzes. Can I have Tyrone go ahead and read?
The trapezoid is reflected across the line y equals negative x. Then it is reflected across the x-axis. Which of these transformations will put it back in its original position with the same orientation it had originally? Select all that apply.
Perfect. So this one's really tricky because it makes you do two transformations, and then you have to do one more to figure out how to get it back to where it started. So I actually just want to do this one together because we're not going to have time to do it alone. So what I want to do is remember how I said you can pick, rather than doing the whole entire shape, just pick one point to work with. So which of these points stands out the most? Let me actually give this guy a name. I'll call it A, B, C, D. Which one sticks out the most?
To me, it's B. The one I saw.
What does everyone else think? Which of those points do you want to use?
A.
A?
She used C.
C? Oh my God, now I have everyone has a different one. Okay, someone else said A?
Yep.
A.
Okay, yeah, let's do A.
Haha.
Just because it doesn't really matter, but we're just going to pick one. So now we're going to do these two things to A. First, reflect across line y equals negative x. What's my general rule?
I think it's I forgot this one. I think it's negative y comma negative x.
Yeah, that's correct. It's the double flip one.
Oh, I don't like the double.
So transformation number one, A is going to become, so A was negative 9, comma, negative 1, 2, 3. So what does it become?
Positive 3, positive 9.
Perfect. All right. So 3, comma 9. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 here. Here's A prime. Okay. Next up, I have to do a reflection across the x-axis. What's my rule for a reflection across the x-axis?
Can I say it, or do you want someone else to say it?
You can go for it.
Okay. It's x comma negative y.
Good. Okay. So what does A prime become when you use this transformation? Someone else. Tyrone, you can say it.
Would it be 3, comma, negative 9?
Nice job. So that's down here. So this is now not A prime, but A double prime. Now the question is, how do I go from A double prime back to my original A? So now that I have this all set up for you, now I'll give you guys 2 minutes to look through the answer choices and pick the correct one. 2 minutes. Let's call these A, B, C, D, E. Select all that apply.
When they mean the origin, they mean 0, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The origin is always 0, 0.
Mm-hmm.
Miss, when it says about the origin, does it mean above the origin or?
About means around.
Oh, okay. Do we send it to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Miss, when it says a reflection and then another reflection,
Mm-hmm.
they're talking about the same point. So one point you're gonna do both, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh. Okay, this one was definitely tricky. I haven't seen any answers yet, so take like 1 more minute. I don't want to spend too much time on it though. Ten more seconds. If you're brave, you can send me your answers. Okay, the correct answers were option A, option B, and option C. A, B, and C. So some of you had
In
parts
A,
of it correct.
above C.
Some of you guys had part of it correct, but not, I don't think anybody got all of it correct. So this one was definitely tricky. Very quickly looking at A, 90 degrees clockwise goes this way. That's the same thing as 270 degrees counterclockwise. You could quickly check with your rule to see if that would line up because you're trying to go from 3, -9 to -9, -3. And that does follow the rule for a 270-degree counterclockwise rotation. B, a reflection across y equals -x, and then a reflection across the y-axis. So very quickly, if I reflect over y equals -x, I'm going to go from 3, -9 to 9, -3. So I would be here. And then when I reflect across the y-axis, it's going to bring me over to my original starting point. So B is correct. And then C would be a reflection across y equals x. So that's where you switch the numbers. So 3, -9 becomes -9, 3, which is right there. And then a reflection across the x-axis would bring me downwards back to where I started. This was a tricky problem. This is the type of problem where you really want to go through each and every option and you can do the math to make sure it all adds up and that you get it correct. So With more time, you guys probably would have gotten it right if you had a little bit more time. But that's just, it's a really good challenge problem. Okay, we didn't get to everything, but we'll do some more next time I see you. Okay, so you guys have your quizzes on Microsoft Teams. That is going to be due tonight at midnight. You do not need to send me your work. You do not need to send me anything. Just take the quiz and you're done. What else is due tonight at midnight?
The Khan Academy.
Yeah, the rotations one. And I think most of you already finished it, but some of you still haven't done that. So the two things to finish by midnight tonight are your quiz and your con. Do I have any questions on that?
No.
Okay, I'm about to release the quiz onto Microsoft Teams. So you'll see it come up in the next 5 minutes, and you can get started as soon as you want to and finish it by midnight tonight. Last and final thing, Miss Samaj, you have not finished your iReady, girl. You need to
Yes.
finish it, okay? So
Okay.
please get that done as soon as you can today.
Okay.
I know that's a lot. I know I'm giving you guys a lot, but you guys, guess what? You don't have school on Monday. So finish everything you can and you get a nice break.
Yay, I can vibe.
You can vibe.
And Jalen, why are you hanging upside down from the ceiling?
I'm
Or whatever.
They call me Spider-Man.
He's Spider SpongeBob.
All right, guys, any last questions?
No,
No.
miss.
Okay, check for the
Have a great
quiz.
day.
I'm about to post it, so do it as soon as you can.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
miss. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi.
Bye.
You just say hi instead of bye or her.